Dear viewers, and welcome to another fun and exciting and sweaty episode of This Week in Canada. My name is Roberto Wakerel Cruz. Thank you so much for joining me on this particularly stormy day. I don't know where you are, but right here in Montreal right now, it is storming. So if you hear some thunder, if you see a flash of lightning, that has nothing to do with me. And Grant can't do anything about it either. That's just the way the world works. Let's just jump into the news because there is a fair amount of news that I want to talk about. Specifically, have you heard about this leadership race that's going on? Well, it's just about over. And I don't mean that the deadline is September 10th and that the voting deadline's already over. It's because former Prime Minister Stephen Harper, the Prime Minister that was in power for like 10 years before Justin Trudeau. His legacy has been completely erased by the fascists we have now. But anyway, the Prime Minister before Justin Trudeau, Stephen Harper, made a rare endorsement of a candidate in the race. And who was it but Pierre Poilievre? Wow. I actually didn't really see this coming. Maybe I just haven't been paying too much attention. But if I do recall, I don't believe that Harper made any endorsement in the last few leadership races. I don't think he made one in the Aaron O'Toole race, and I don't think he made one in the Andrew Scheer race, which is a good move. Usually he doesn't get too involved in too much news that happens in the day-to-day. I did try to read his book. I have it somewhere. The book is called Right Here, Right Now. And if you thought Stephen Harper was boring, then you should read his book because it will blow your socks off how much more boring he is than you thought, which isn't, I guess I shouldn't have gone in thinking like, oh, Stephen Harper has a book. Awesome. I can't wait to read this. I was more like, what is Stephen Harper thinking about the state of the world right now? And I just couldn't get through it. It was just a little dry, which I guess it is like a very policy wonk thing to do to want to read a Stephen Harper book. But anyhow, Stephen Harper made a rare endorsement, which I believe has a bit of an impact. Let's roll just a clip of the video of Stephen Harper endorsing Pierre Poilievre.
It's a strong field, but one candidate has garnered disproportionate attention. Pierre Poilievre was a strong minister in my government. In the past several years, he's been our party's most vocal and effective critic of the Trudeau Liberals. And in my opinion, Pierre has made by far the strongest case that he is the person to do that.
So that just about does it for John Charest. I mean, John Charest, what? He threw his weight around for a little bit. He had one debate where he seemed like he was a reasonable alternative to the front runner. And ever since then, it's been all downhill, especially for everyone not named Pierre Poilievre. Leslie Lewis now is saying she's not going to participate in the debate unless abortion is brought up as an issue. I know this might not be a very popular point of view, but Stephen Harper, if you remember correctly, I believe he said that the abortion debate was over in Canada and he wasn't going to touch that. I don't remember. I can't tell you who the last pro-life prime minister was, except for Justin Trudeau, who said in a few tweets and said very explicitly, nobody likes abortion. So that sounded pretty pro-life. And he even said, in my personal life, I am pro-life. Everyone should be pro-life in their personal, but of course I don't govern out of my emotion. So if you ignore Justin Trudeau's kind of flip-flop on that, I couldn't tell you who the last pro-life prime minister was. So Stephen Harper didn't touch that. Leslie Lewis is gone. Patrick Brown, sorry, not Dan Brown. I was thinking about the Da Vinci Code earlier. Patrick Brown is out of the race because little did we know he was sleazy. And John Charest, he's still in the race, but realistically, we know with this endorsement of Stephen Harper, it is over. It is all ogre now. What does this do for Pierre Poilievre? Well, I like to steal little bits of things that I read, and one thing I do read is Brian Lilly's columns, and he puts it well, where he says that Stephen Harper's endorsement of Pierre Poilievre will basically ensure that he gets that older vote that actually shows up to the polls. And it also softens Pierre Poilievre's image a little bit for those that don't like what they have seen of him for the last few years. Obviously, we've known Poilievre as this attack dog figure. He's always been on the aggressive. He's been the aggressor sometimes. He's in the committees going after Trudeau, and he seems like a very, he's a bit of a dickhead because that's his job. That was his job, is to get these guys, on the ropes. But some people don't like that. They want somebody that's going to soften their image a little bit. And who's softer than Stephen Harper? Remember him saying, on my spare time, I like to watch Netflix. Can we show that video?
Something you might not know about me is that I love movies and TV shows. One of my all-time favorites is Breaking Bad. It's even available on some online streaming services if you've never seen it.
So who better to soften your image than Stephen Harper? And what it's going to do, it's going to bring those voters, the ones that vote, into the party, because as we know, a lot of Poilievre's base are kind of younger people like myself. He brought in, what did he bring in? 300,000 new memberships into the CPC race. That's bonkers. But the thing is, and as we know, because everyone on Twitter seems to be a far left Jagmeet Singh voter, young people don't vote. They like to pretend they're going to vote, but then they don't. So we know that Stephen Harper's going to do a lot for Pierre Poilievre in that regard. At least I think. I think it's a big deal. And I'm happy to see him come out. He kind of came out with this. A lot of people have been asking, well, who do I support in the next federal election? Yeah, nobody really was asking, but I'm glad you came out and said that. So thank you, Stephen Harper. We do miss you. And thank you for the endorsement. I'm sure Pierre Poilievre was probably just fucking pumped when he got that endorsement. Could you imagine? So Pierre Poilievre, obviously a bit of a threat now. People see him as a threat. You can tell when someone's a threat. Excuse me, it is boiling. I'm going to unbutton here in a second. You can tell when someone is a threat to the legacy media when they start pumping out these articles saying that the guy is like going to destroy Canada. So there's a few that I've seen that's scary headlines. So we can run one here. I think this one should say, Pierre Poilievre is a B-reel or a B-movie populist in a B-movie election or something like that. All right, so basically just saying, well, you like Poilievre? What, you really just like Trump? And this guy is no Trump. Weird argument. This one says that Poilievre, he's going to have to do more than promise freedom to get votes. Yeah, dumbass, he is kind of doing that, right? I know a lot of people are saying, like, oh, you can't just promise to make Canada the freest country in the world. Well, yeah, I think you can. A lot of people like freedom. There was a whole convoy about it. I don't know if you heard. And then, you can find plenty of them. Or, like this one here, which I can't remember, but we'll put it up on the screen because I can't. Rules of threes, right? What else is in the news, eh? That was all I had for Pierre Poilievre. Sorry, it's really sweaty in here. I can't really focus. Okay, the Pope. The Pope is in Canada. Have you heard about the Pope? The Pope is in Canada, and I can't imagine anyone cares less than me. And I say that as a Catholic, okay? I am a Catholic. I was baptized as a baby, which some Christians consider a sin, but I think is perfectly fine as a Catholic. I'm a Catholic because I am Mexican, except for in the eyes of the Trudeau government, which considers me white, even though there's white Mexicans, but whatever. I'm a Catholic because I am Mexican in the same way that I believe in ghosts because I'm Mexican. It's just if you're Mexican, you believe in ghosts and you're Catholic. That's just the rules. And because I'm Catholic because, what am I going to do? Be like Protestant or something? That's so weird for a Mexican to be like, I know there is some, but overall, you're going to be a Catholic if you're Mexican. In my lineage, the patriarchs, probably going back to like 500, like all the way back in Spain, have all been Catholics. What am I supposed to do? Break that tradition? Look at what a joke that would be. Anyhow, the Pope is in town. He's been on this apology tour. And I got to say, I guess I should be a bit of a Protestant because I think the Pope is kind of weird. It's nowhere in the Bible. This is all the talking points that the Protestants make, and I apologize for going down this road with you. This isn't a theological podcast. So maybe let's just get off the topic, except for this is the third apology that the Pope, that the Vatican has made to indigenous communities. And this is now the third time, I believe, that indigenous communities are just saying, yeah, I don't know if that's going to cut it. You got to do more than apologize. So what are we going to do this every 10 years now? Because I think that the Pope apologized just like a few weeks ago when the natives went over to the Vatican. He was like, I am so sorry. And then he came over here, and then in like Edmonton and Quebec, he's like, I am so sorry. We are so sorry. All right, awesome, Pope. And then during Harper's regime, what do you call that? Tenure in office, time in office? Don't want to make him sound like a dictator. They also apologized. And I believe the government of Canada also apologized too. So there's been a few apologies, and every time it seems like 10 years later, we're like, hey, you guys still did that. You guys still did that terrible thing, which it was terrible. I'm not trying to diminish how terrible it was, but I'm wondering when the apologies will end because it doesn't seem like it's doing anything. There's got to be some action that takes place, okay? And maybe under this fucking cool hippie Pope, some more stuff will get taken care of. There's some big news with Justin Trudeau trying to ruin the food supply in Canada that I think we should get into because it is worth noting, as many of you may have known as viewers of the show, as informed citizens of Canada and of the globe, that there was a protest in the Netherlands, which is also Holland, but they are Dutch. So the Dutch farmers had a revolution where the government came in and said, yeah, you got to stop with the fertilizer. The fertilizer, it's really bad for the environment. And the Dutch farmers were just like, fertilizer? We can't cut the fertilizer. Fertilizer is the most expensive thing in our entire industry. We use just enough fertilizer every time. So if you're cutting fertilizer, then you're going to cut down on food. This is really bad for our livelihoods. What are you trying to force us out of our livelihoods? And then you see all these websites popping up like in the UK. Let's put that up here. The UK government now offering severance packages to farmers, £100,000 if you want to leave the farming industry for the government to buy up your land. Wow, that's pretty weird. What's the government doing buying up farmland? So I would imagine if you don't want people to think there's a global conspiracy, you would not implement weird, self-sabotaging, social engineering kind of policies all at the same time across the globe in line with a spooky organization that is called the World Economic Forum. You would think that if you were trying to hide something like this, you would not implement these policies all at the same time, but they don't care anymore. They're bringing in the crickets. They're opening a cricket factory. Let's put up that on the screen. Opening up a cricket factory in London, Ontario, the biggest cricket factory in the world for consumption of humans and pets. They're trying to get rid of meat. You already know they're getting rid of meat. And you know why? Because meat is bad for the environment. Oh, the environment. Yeah, the environment's done. They've decided that it's over a long time ago. So what is the policy that Justin Trudeau is bringing into place? Well, the policy is basically saying that they're going to reduce the amount of fertilizer that is used by 30%. Fertilizer Canada, a group you should listen to when it comes to fertilizer, said this in a statement. I got to find the statement from Fertilizer Canada. This might be a big file. This is going to be a big episode. I'm sorry. You have lots of time to edit it, though. Sorry, Grant. According to Fertilizer Canada, under Canada's A Healthy Environment and a Healthy Economy Act, the government of Canada is envisioning a 30% absolute emission reduction target for on-farm fertilizer use by the year 2030. Keep that year in mind, folks. 2030, if you keep hearing about it, there's something going on. Elsewhere, the European Union, EU, has proposed an absolute emission reduction target and aims to achieve it through a 20% reduction of fertilizer use compared to 2020 levels. They continue, if Canada adopted the EU model, the potential economic impact of reduced fertilizer use would be devastating to Canadian farmers. To avoid this, any plan to reduce greenhouse gas emissions must be done through sustainable agriculture intensification, an approach that allows for significant reductions in agricultural emissions without risking Canada's contribution to global supply of food and economic growth within the sector. I'm sure that's all totally well and good. Pardon my hair. I'm sure that's all totally well and good, but they're not going to listen to that. You already know Bill Gates is the largest owner of farmland in the United States. That's not a good sign. What is he doing with all that? He's going into synthetic meats. It's over, folks. It is so over. We're not eating meat. Just eat meat for now. Even if you're like a vegetarian, just try some meat because you're never going to eat it again after 2030. The price of it's going to go through the roof. You might as well just enjoy a corn dog or something while you're at it, you know? So we'll put up another article here. I highly recommend you check out this podcast by Jack Posobiec, who has put some good insight into what happens when cultures like the Soviets go after farmers. He talks about the kulaks. And the kulaks were this group, and I have it right in front of me here. The kulaks were described as wealthy or prosperous peasants. This is during the Soviet Union. Generally characterized as one who owned a relatively large farm and several head of cattle and horses, was financially capable of employing hired labor and leasing land. Well, as soon as the revolution happened, you know who was first on the chopping block? The farmers. You know what happened in China when they went through their great leap forward? Who was first on the chopping block after just people who wore glasses and pigeons, which is hilarious? The farmers. And now we're going after the farmers. Don't go after the people that make the food supply. Don't go after the people that prepare food. I thought that would be a rule of thumb that goes without saying, but I guess we have to, and we're going to have to deal with it. We will enjoy the crickets. Anyway, you want to hear some jokes? I've written some jokes. This is a new segment if this is your first time watching in a while. I've written some jokes that I think are pretty funny, and I am going to read them to you. So again, Grant, sorry, please hit me with the music when I walk out. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Thank you so much for joining me on The Tonight Show with Roberto. A Toronto man suffered a leg injury at a Dua Lipa concert last week. Doctors say he may have to do a leap on one leg for a while until he recovers. That one was bad. A Toronto Tibetan restaurant was forced to close down by officials due to health violations. One inspector said that the restaurant was shut down because they couldn't make him one with everything. Buddhism joke. I like this one. Caravana is returning to Toronto for the first time since COVID started, with organizers releasing the itinerary yesterday. Have you heard about this? Caravana's back. Caravana is back. Once again, the most popular event is expected to be getting shot in the chest with a gun. My name is Roberto Wakeroll Cruz. Thank you so much for joining me. Let's close on this video. I know it's not Canadian, of Joe Biden's eyes. What is going on with Joe Biden in this video? Thanks a lot. Goodbye.